Have you ever heard of the Goat Man? If not, I'll explain. The Goat Man is a terrifying 7-foot tall being with the head of a goat, the body of a man, and the legs of a goat that stands upright. They say he can mimic the voices of our loved ones, attacks his victims with a large axe, and has insatiable lust for human flesh and causing carnage. Some say he's a demon directly from hell. Others say he's a government lab experiment gone horribly wrong. Either way, if you ever meet the Goat Man, you either run or you die. When I was 9 years old, I got to meet the Goat Man in real life, and since then, I've never been the same or ever gone out into the woods ever again. It all started 20 years ago when I was just a child. It was Christmas Eve, and all my family had traveled to our house in Usk to celebrate the holidays. My uncles, my aunties, my grandpa, and grandma too. I was the only kid in the family, so everyone always made a big deal about Christmas over me. We would spend time playing board games beside the fireplace in the living room, drink eggnog, gaze at the tree, you know, typical Christmas stuff during the holidays. Finally, it was time to put out the milk and cookies for Santa and for me to go to bed. I was so excited. I asked my parents if I could stay up to meet Santa, but they said no, it was time for bed. So I went to my room on the second floor of our house, but I couldn't sleep, thinking about all the great presents Santa was sure to bring me this year. I lay there wide awake, envisioning a new red fire truck maybe, a game for my Nintendo. That's when I heard it, a loud thump noise on the roof. Was it Santa? It just had to be. Who else would be up on the roof? The thumping continued. It sounded like hooves stomping around. Must have been Santa's reindeer, I thought. They sure were noisy. Then I heard the stomping stop, right over my head. I looked straight up. Did Santa know I was still awake? And if so, would he be mad at me for not being asleep already? I didn't know what to think. Then I heard tapping on the roof, like someone was knocking, and a voice said,
Ho, 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 go, open the front door for Santa.
It sounded weird, but then again, who knew what Santa really sounded like anyways? I lay there staring at the ceiling, not knowing what to do.
Go, open the door.
It said again, this time sounding angrier and louder. So being a stupid kid, I got up and ran downstairs. My parents, aunts, uncles, and grandparents were all sitting around the living room drinking and looking shocked as I ran by towards the front door. Hey, where are you going? Asked my dad, but I ignored him. Before I knew it, I was at the front door yelling, Santa's here, Santa's here, we have to let him in. I looked up at the front door, and through the frosted glass I could see a tall blur of someone standing outside. Santa sure was tall, I thought, as I unlocked the door. Just as I unlocked it, a gnarled, clawed hand smashed through the glass, pushing the door open further. I screamed and stepped back a couple of feet as the door swung wide open. Before me stood a monster with the head and strange eyes of a goat with curling horns and a giant axe with a red sack in the other clawed hand. It towered over me. I stepped back again.
Ho, 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 in the bag you go.
It said in a dead-sounding voice. I pissed my pants. This wasn't Santa Claus. I turned and ran past my family, sitting stunned in the living room, and up the stairs to my room. I hid in my closet with the lights off. Then I could hear banging and crashing and screams from my loved ones. My aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, my mom, and my dad all screamed as if they were being torn apart while still alive. It sounded like pigs being slaughtered downstairs. All the while, the goat thing brayed and stomped and snorted. After roughly 15 minutes, all the screaming had stopped, and it was quiet as a mouse downstairs. Slowly, I crept out of my hiding place and went back down the stairs. What I found haunts me to this day. Hung from the Christmas tree were intestines and eyeballs. The drapes, the couches, the carpets, all the presents were all stained red and dripping with blood, and in the center of the room sat a wet red sack. I looked towards the front door, but no sign of the Goat Man. I crept over to the sack and opened it up to find parts of my family members all hacked to pieces. An arm here, a leg there, guts and blood. I vomited and passed out. When I woke up on the floor, I was being shaken by a police officer. Apparently the neighbors had heard the screams and called the police. They asked me if I knew what happened. All I could say was it was the Goat Man. The Goat Man got my family. They of course did not believe my story and said it looked like an animal attack. How the fuck could an animal do this, I thought. But it didn't matter. My entire family had been hacked to death with an axe by the Goat Man, and it's all my fault. To this day, I don't celebrate Christmas, and I moved to the Mojave Desert where there are no trees or goats to ever have to worry about ever again.
Wasn't that a tasty Christmas treat to suck down on, eh, fiends? Well, we here at Terror Tuesdays just want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Go open